Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be tackling online learning platforms.
Okay.
Specifically, how to make them work for everyone.
Right.
So we're going to be talking about LMS versus LXP, but with a twist.
Okay.
Accessibility is like our main focus here.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, what's the point of having this like cutting edge platform if it leaves some learners behind?
For sure.
So you're diving into, the world of online learning.
Right.
And you keep hearing these acronyms, LMS and LXP.
Yeah.
What is the difference and why should you care?
So imagine you're back in school for a second.
Okay.
Your trusty textbook full of structured lessons and quizzes.
Uh-huh.
That's your LMS.
Okay.
The learning management system.
Gotcha.
It's reliable. It's organized. Perfect for things like compliance training where everyone needs to be on the same page.
Okay. So LMS is all about structure.
Structure.
But I'm guessing LXP is where things get a little bit more exciting.
Exactly. LXP stands for Learning Experience Platform.
Okay.
Think of it like a personalized learning adventure. They pull content from all these different sources, curate it based on your interests.
Wow.
Some even use AI to suggest what you should learn next.
Oh, wow.
It's all about making learning engaging and relevant to you.
Okay. So LMS is our reliable textbook.
Yes.
LXP is our personalized online course.
Yes.
But before we get lost in all the bells and whistles, let's talk about something even more crucial. Accessibility.
Yes.
Because what good is a platform if it doesn't work for everyone?
That's a really, really good point. Accessibility in this context means designing platforms with all learners in mind. Someone who might be using a screen reader because of a visual impairment, someone who needs captions on videos, someone who just wants to adjust text size.
Right.
These are all accessibility considerations.
Yeah, and it reminds me, like one time I was trying to use a platform and it had the worst navigation ever.
Oh, no. Oh.
I spent like more time trying to find the actual content than actually learning anything.
Wow. Yeah.
And it made me realize that accessibility isn't just some technical afterthought.
Yeah.
It's about real people having like a positive, empowering experience.
You're totally right. And that's actually where guidelines like WCAG come in.
Okay.
The Web Content Accessibility Guidelines.
Right.
These guidelines provide a framework for making digital content, including learning platforms accessible to people with disabilities.
Right.
And when platforms follow these guidelines, everyone benefits. For example, clear navigation. That's helpful for any learner, not just someone using a screen reader.
It's about designing for humans, period.
Yes.
But let's be honest, sometimes compliance can feel like checking boxes.
Right.
How do we go beyond just the bare minimum and make sure these platforms are truly inclusive?
You're right. True accessibility, it goes beyond just checking boxes. That's where the concept of universal design for learning, or UDL, comes in.
UDL. Tell me more about that. What is that? How does it play into all of this?
So imagine a platform that adapts to how you learn best.
Okay.
Not the other way around.
Right.
That's UDL in a nutshell.
Okay.
It's about creating learning environments that cater to this wide range of learners with diverse needs, skills, and preferences. It's based on these three core principles.
Okay.
Multiple means of representation, action and expression, and engagement.
Okay, so break those down for me. What do those principles actually look like in an online learning platform?
Okay, so let's start with multiple means of representation.
Okay.
Imagine being able to choose how you want to digest information.
Okay.
Some people learn best by reading, some by listening, some by watching.
Right.
A UDL-focused platform might offer content in all kinds of different formats. Text, videos with captions, audio descriptions, even interactive simulations.
So it's about giving learners the control to choose what works best for them.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
What about like showing what you've learned?
Yes.
That's where action and expression comes in,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's not just about absorbing information. It's about demonstrating understanding in ways that work for you. So instead of just relying on traditional quizzes, a UDL-focused platform might offer multiple assessment types.
Okay.
You could have discussions, you could submit projects, record presentations, whatever allows you to shine.
I love that. It's about recognizing that intelligence comes in many forms.
Yes.
And giving learners that flexibility to express themselves in really authentic ways.
For sure.
So what about that last principle, engagement?
Yes.
What does that look like in practice?
Think about what truly motivates you to learn.
Okay.
A UDL-focused platform, it incorporates elements that tap into those intrinsic motivations. This might involve incorporating collaborative tools like discussion forums, group projects, personalizing learning paths based on interests, or even using multimedia elements like videos and interactive games to make the content more engaging.
Okay, so we've got our LMS, our structured approach.
Yes.
We've got our LXP, our personalized adventure.
Yeah.
We've talked about accessibility,
Right.
WC guidelines.
Yes.
And now this idea of UDL. It feels like a lot to consider.
It is.
What are some key takeaways that listeners should keep in mind as they're navigating this whole landscape?
That's a great question. You're right. It can feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it comes down to this. Don't settle for platforms that treat accessibility as an afterthought.
Right.
Or just a box to check.
Don't just settle for the bare minimum.
Exactly.
But how do we, as users, make sure we're asking the right questions and pushing for truly inclusive learning environments?
That's where we get to put on our detective hats.
Okay.
And really scrutinize these platforms.
So.
And trust me, I've got some tips for how to do just that.
All right. So we're on a mission here to uncover the best practices for choosing truly inclusive learning platforms.
Yes.
And you mentioned putting on our detective hats. So I'm ready to channel my inner Sherlock Holmes.
Okay.
What are the first clues we should be looking for?
Well, the first step is to think like a learner, but not just any learner. Think about those who might face additional barriers.
So putting ourselves in the shoes of someone who might need those accessibility features the most.
Exactly. So ask yourself, can someone easily navigate this platform using just their keyboard? Is the content compatible with the screen readers? Are images properly labeled with alternative text? These are just a few starting points.
Okay, so we need to look beyond those like shiny marketing materials and really dig into the platform's accessibility features.
Yes.
But how do we know if they're just talking the talk or actually walking the walk?
Don't be afraid to ask the tough questions. Any platform that's serious about accessibility should be able to clearly articulate its conformance to WCAG guidelines. In fact, they should be shouting it from the rooftops. Ideally, look for a platform that meets at least level AA conformance.
Level A conformance, got it.
Yes.
That's definitely going on my checklist.
Okay.
But beyond checking for compliance, are there any other questions we should be asking to make sure a platform aligns with those UDL principles we talked about?
Absolutely. Remember, UDL is all about offering multiple means of representation. So when you're evaluating a platform, see if it allows you to customize the display. Can users adjust the text size, contrast, color schemes? These might seem like small details, but they can make a huge difference for some learners.
You're right. Those seemingly small things can be game changers for certain individuals.
For sure.
It's all about making that learning experience comfortable and accessible for everyone.
Precisely. And don't forget about multiple means of action and expression.
See, if the platform allows learners to express their understanding in different ways beyond just traditional quizzes. Maybe they can submit audio recordings instead of written essays or participate in group projects that leverage their unique strength.
It's all about recognizing those different learning styles and providing these diverse avenues for learners to shine.
Exactly.
So we've talked about digging deeper into these accessibility features, making sure platforms align with UDL principles. What about the legal side of things? Are there specific laws that educational institutions or organizations need to be aware of when they're choosing a platform?
You've hit on another crucial aspect. In the United States, there are a couple of key laws that directly impact accessibility in online learning. First, you have the Americans with Disabilities Act, or the ADA. This law applies to both public and private educational institutions.
And it mandates that they make their programs and services, including online platforms, accessible to individuals with disabilities.
So essentially, everyone has the right to access educational opportunities without facing discrimination based on their abilities.
Exactly.
It seems like a no-brainer, but sadly we know that's not always the reality.
Unfortunately, you're right. And that's why we have these legal frameworks in place to help ensure that equal access. Another important one is Section 508 of the Rehabilitation Act.
Okay.
This one applies specifically to federal agencies and any organization receiving federal funding,
Right.
which includes a lot of educational institutions.
Right.
So how does Section 508 come into play with online learning platforms?
So Section 508, it specifically focuses on electronic and information technology.
Okay.
This includes websites, software, and yes, you guessed it, learning platforms.
Right.
It mandates that this technology be accessible to people with disabilities. Okay, so we have these laws in place to ensure this equal access.
Yes.
But how do we, as users or even as organizations, make sure that these institutions are actually following through and adhering to these laws?
Yeah.
It can feel like a bit of a black box sometimes.
That's where transparency and accountability come in.
Okay.
Organizations need to be really proactive in conducting regular accessibility audits of their chosen platforms.
Okay, so it's like a regular checkup for your platform's accessibility.
Exactly.
Making sure everything's up to par.
Yes.
But audits are just one piece of the puzzle.
Right. Don't underestimate the power of user feedback.
Yeah.
Especially from individuals with disabilities.
Right.
They can provide such invaluable insights into how the platform functions for people with different needs.
Right.
And really help identify any areas for improvement.
It's about bringing those lived experiences to the forefront and incorporating them into that design and development process.
Absolutely. And it's an ongoing process.
Right.
Technology is constantly evolving. Platforms are always being updated.
Yep.
That's why it's so crucial to have a system in place for gathering that user feedback, addressing any issues that arise, and continuously working towards a more inclusive learning environment.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, from the technical side of accessibility to the legal frameworks that are in place.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's about people, right?
Yes.
It's about making sure that everyone has an equal opportunity to learn and grow.
Couldn't agree more. And it's not just about those with disabilities either.
Right.
When we design learning environments with accessibility in mind, everyone benefits.
Okay.
Think about captions on videos.
Right.
They're not just helpful for individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing.
Right.
They could also help someone who's in a really noisy environment.
Or someone who just learns better by seeing the words as they're spoken.
It's like those curb cuts and sidewalks, originally designed for wheelchair users.
Right.
But now they benefit everyone, from parents pushing strollers to, delivery people with hand trucks.
Exactly. It makes you realize accessibility is just good design.
Right.
It's about creating a more inclusive world for everyone.
Yeah.
And the great news is there are so many resources available to help organizations and even individuals kind of navigate this whole landscape.
Yeah.
We've talked about WCAG guidelines.
Right.
But there are also organizations dedicated to promoting digital accessibility, offering training, providing support.
It's amazing to see this growing movement towards a more inclusive design.
Definitely.
So for those listening, who are feeling fired up, ready to make a difference.
Yes.
What's one tangible action they can take today?
To start advocating for, more accessible and inclusive learning environments.
Start by just raising awareness.
Okay.
Talk to your colleagues, talk to your educators, your administrators.
Right.
Share what you've learned about accessibility in UDL.
Right.
Encourage them to make it a priority.
Okay.
You can even share links to resources like the WCAG website.
Right.
Or articles about UDL principles.
Sometimes all it takes is one person to spark a conversation.
Right.
And inspire that change.
Totally.
It's about planting those seeds of awareness.
Yes.
And fostering a culture where accessibility is seen as everyone's responsibility.
Absolutely. And remember, creating truly inclusive learning experiences, it's not a one-time project.
Right.
It's an ongoing journey of learning, adapting, and evolving.
Well said. And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of online learning platforms.
Yes.
And that crucial role of accessibility.
Yeah.
We hope you walk away feeling, informed, empowered, and inspired to make a difference.
For sure.
Because together we can create learning environments where everyone has that opportunity to reach their full potential.
I love it.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep asking those tough questions.